Joining us. We're in an unprecedented moment in the history of our city. New York City, a city we all love, is a city that never sleeps, and we're proud that one of the manifestations of that is that the subways always run 24/7. That's been the case since the Lexington Avenue line was built in 1904, with very few exceptions, Superstorm Sandy recently being one of them. But extraordinary times call for extraordinary measures. At 1 o'clock this morning, this will mark the first planned closure of the subways in the 115-year history of the system. The reason we're taking this extraordinary, unprecedented action is to protect the safety and public health of our customers and our employees. Every action that we've taken since the commencement of this horrible pandemic has been taken in the interest of public health, our customers, the general public, and our employees. Starting tonight, we will take advantage of the closure from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. to start the largest and most extensive cleaning operation, disinfecting operation actually, in the history of the subways. We will be disinfecting subway cars, every one of them, buses and stations, and we'll be doing that on a daily basis. Tomorrow's morning's closure, 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., will make that possible. One of the things that we will require during this cleaning operation is that at 1 a.m., everybody leave the system, except those in the uniforms of New York City Transit, the NYPD, the MTA police, nurses or social workers working with the police. This will allow us to do this unbelievable and unprecedented amount of cleaning. This is critical to ensure the health and safety of our employees and customers. New York City Transit and MTA buses will run all night. There is actually going to be an unprecedented level of bus service. Thanks to Sarah Feinberg and Sally Labrera and Craig Cipriano at buses, we will be able to pull this off. On the bus side, the number of bus rides will increase by 76%. And the number of buses on the streets during the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. period will more than double. This is an extraordinary, robust level of bus service, and it is designed to get our customers at this time, who are first responders and essential workers, to home, to jobs during the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. period. We understand that this is a big change for every one of our customers and, frankly, for our employees. It's inconvenient. That is why, for essential workers and first responders moving around in the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. period, we've put this extraordinary level of bus service on. We believe that the bus service will serve the majority of our customers. For the small percentage of customers that bus service is unworkable because the ride's too long, longer than an hour and 20 minutes, or more than 2 connections, there will be, on a limited basis, livery cabs that can be accessed through our website or through 511. This is all about serving the first responders and the essential employees. Before I turn it over to Sarah Feinberg, I just want to note that we grieve and mourn the loss of 109 of our colleagues who have succumbed to the virus. And with that, I'll turn it over to Sarah Feinberg, President of New York City Transit.
Thanks, Pat. So, welcome to all of you. I just want to start by thanking the tens of thousands of New York City Transit workers, men and women, who throughout this pandemic have been showing up day in and day out to operate trains, to operate buses, to clean the stations, to clean cars, and to make the system work. We could not do anything, and this city would not function without them. They are heroes, they're essential workers, they've showed up day in and day out, and we are unbelievably grateful. I'm grateful for them for their service again tonight. We will have hundreds and hundreds of cleaners out tonight, and they're cleaning on a 24/7 basis. So it's not just happening tonight, it's happening 24 hours a day. I also want to thank the hundreds of New York City police officers, NYPD officers, and MTA police officers who are out in the system tonight. The city has shown up in force. They have been great partners through this. You will see a tremendous amount of NYPD officers and MTA officers out tonight. This simply does not work without them. We could not safely shut down the system, ask riders to leave, shut stations, and then reopen at 5 a.m. without those folks, and I'm grateful. I want to specifically thank Sally Librera, the VP of Subways, and Craig Cipriano, the President of Buses, for the work that they've done to pull this off. Again, unbelievable amounts of work. People have been working 24/7 for many days to pull this off. So this is how this is going to work. 1 a.m. the system closes. If you are not on a train at that moment heading to your destination, the system is closed and you will be asked to leave a station. The system will stay closed until 5 a.m. and then it'll reopen. For last train information, customers can go to the web. They will see last train information on stations as well. I want to say to everyone, if you are traveling, make sure that you leave yourself a little bit of extra time. You know, if your train is supposed to leave at 12:51, don't show up at 12:49. That usually works in our system because if you miss your train, you'll take the next one. But tonight and going forward, give yourself a little bit of extra time on that last train. Again, as Pat mentioned, we have unbelievable enhanced bus service that's running tonight and that will run overnight going forward. Lots of new express routes, lots of enhanced local service, lots of enhanced overnight service. We're going to take care of an enormous number of people with bus service tonight. As Pat mentioned, if you are one of these people who needs to go to work or get home as an essential worker between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., and you go onto the website and you plan out your bus trip and it's longer than is manageable, you've got more than 2 transfers, call 511 or go to the website, register for the Essential Connector program, and we're going to get you a ride and make sure that you get to where you need to go. Look, we've said all week, this is not going to be wrinkle-free. This is not going to be perfect. We've never done anything like this before. This is unprecedented. Now gets thrown around so much it's losing its meaning. But this is absolutely unprecedented, and we are grateful for everyone's patience as we get through this. We will get better all the time. We'll get more efficient. We'll find the hiccups. We'll find the wrinkles, and we'll get through this. I recognize that this is incredibly disruptive. If this were a normal moment, we would have planned this for months. If we were taking something out of service for overnight hours to do maintenance or to do a capital construction project, we would have given people months of notice. We would have worked schedules around it. This is completely different. We are doing this really quickly, and we're doing it for an important reason. We have to get this system clean. We have to get really good and efficient at cleaning all of our cars. So we recognize that it's going to be disruptive. We're grateful for everyone's patience, grateful to all of you, and we will get through this together. Thank you. I want to introduce Sally Librera, VP of Subways.
Good evening. I'm going to share with you some details about the cleaning operation that will commence tonight. We have about 700 cleaners that will be in our system tonight, cleaning and disinfecting trains and stations. We're accelerating our train disinfection to doing every single train car every 24 hours, and we're doing that in 3 ways. Some of those trains will be cleaned and disinfected in yards. Some of them will be cleaned and disinfected in enhanced overnight terminal operations, and some will be cleaned over the course of the day at terminals. Most lines will have terminal cleaning operations, augmented terminal cleaning operations at both ends of the line over the course of 24 hours. We're also looking at different ways of doing this cleaning and disinfecting. We're trying out antimicrobial treatments to keep surfaces virus-free longer. We are looking at ultraviolet light technology that can immediately eradicate viruses. We're looking at electrostatic sprayers and using foggers to improve the productivity and increase the speed with which we're working so that we can minimize the disruption to customers. We're trying out all of these different techniques, and we'll be deploying them over the course of this initiative. You may see that trains are still moving once we close the system to customers. And that's because we're moving staff to key locations so that they can continue cleaning and maintaining the environment. We also need to be moving our trains in and out of terminals so that we can clean them. And lastly, we need to have our trains and our crews in the right locations so that we can very quickly ramp up service at 5 a.m. I'm very proud of our workforce and what they've been able to accomplish in a very short period of time. I joined Sarah and Pat in thanking them, and want to let all of our customers and our employees know that we are working every single day, every single minute of every single day to keep New Yorkers safe. I'd like to introduce Craig Cipriano, President of MTA Bus.
Thank you, Sally. So as Pat said, we've worked hard to design a bus system that could satisfy our customers during this important time, 1 to 5, while this tremendous amount of work is happening in our subways. Let me just share with you some of the stats that we have. So we more than doubled the number of buses. Almost 600 buses will be out on the roads between 1 and 5 a.m. 1,168 trips have been added across 61 routes. And we designed those routes to mirror the subway system. So on local routes, most local routes typically will operate on a 20-minute headway during this time. Express bus routes coming into the city will operate on 30-minute headways. So on those 61 routes, we've added 24 routes that don't typically operate over the 1 to 5 period. 13 of those are local routes serving hospitals, and 11 of those are express routes. 37 other routes that typically do operate, we enhance those headways. So I'll give you an example of M15 right here on the east side. Would typically operate on a 30-minute headway. We'll be operating on a 15-minute headway. The BX15 in the Bronx, serving St. Barnabas Hospital, also operating on a 15-minute headway. Other examples are the B44 serving Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn, the Q46 serving LIJ Hospital in Queens. We've designed a bus system to meet the needs of the customers, of those essential workers that need to get where they need to go from 1 to 5 during this important time. And for those people where the bus system is just not workable, we ask you to go to our website, mta.info/overnight. There you'll see all the bus schedules and also important information about our Essential Connector program. Lastly, what I'd like to say is, along with Pat, Sarah, and Sally, I want to thank our labor partners that have come together with us to design and implement this bus system. They've really been doing yeoman's work during this pandemic to serve the city, and I want to thank them again. So with that said, I'd like to introduce Pat Warren, our Chief Safety Officer.
Thanks, Craig. Tonight we have a very significant mission to protect our infrastructure and our workforce as they go about doing the vital mission of cleaning and disinfecting our stations and our rail cars out there in order to provide a healthier environment for New York and our workforce. We are very grateful to the NYPD for their robust support of this effort. We have about 1,000 officers that are out protecting the entire system. That's 472 stations, as was mentioned, from 1 to 5 a.m. Again, to sort of beat a dead horse, we could use your help in making sure that the public knows that the stations are closed to the public during that time period. We're also taking this opportunity to work with the city and the state in order to maximize this very unique opportunity to provide access to health care and social services for those New Yorkers that are homeless. They deserve better. New York deserves better, and we will do better in order to get them those services. So to support that, we have forces of social workers and police and others, and nurses at 30 strategic locations across the network to provide that support. Lastly, I want to say that as we matriculate through this pandemic, we'll continue to observe how our work is going and improve on it and make ourselves more efficient and effective every day in order to make a more optimal transportation experience for everybody in New York. Thank you.
We'd be happy to take some questions, please.
First of all, the logistical complexity of this whole operation seems astounding. How do you make sure, among other things, that if there are 3 different ways that these train sets are being cleaned, that a car doesn't slip through the cracks and not get cleaned? I guess that's one question. And the second is, you talked about, you wanted to handle that and then?
Sure.
Okay.
So yes, it is a logistical challenge, and And that is why what we're doing tonight, we're beginning tonight, is really unprecedented. We will be tracking each individual train car that we are cleaning in each of the 3 different formats so that we'll be able to track them over a 24-hour basis. And we expect that many of the cars of our fleet will actually be cleaned and disinfected more frequently than every 24 hours. But we are committed to doing the entire fleet every 24 hours.
Which is the duration time that this substances that you're using will last. I mean, if you clean one of these trains and then somebody comes and coughs on a pole, does that totally invalidate all the work that you've done on that train? I mean, how long do you have?
So that is why we've stepped up not just our nightly cleaning, but also our terminal end cleaning, both ends of the terminals on most lines, most tours of the day, so that we'll be having crews moving on and off of our entire fleet, and our fleet is in service over the course of the day. We're running fewer cars right now with the essential service, but we're running the peak of our fleet over the course of the day, and we'll be hitting all of those terminals with every single run. So we have lots of opportunities, lots of touch points for that cleaning. But the other important thing is that we're looking at different types of technologies, including antimicrobial treatments that could potentially keep surfaces virus-free for extended periods of time. So it's a combination of looking at new technologies and maximizing the touch points with the fleet.
What are you going to be looking for in terms of the wrinkles, or what are you going to be looking for overnight and to evaluate this and see where changes will be needed, and what kind of changes could you be envisioning having to make?
So we're watching closely the staffing that we have at each terminal location, making sure that we have that number right-sized, and making sure that we have that number right-sized for the different times of day. At some points in the day, our service is very frequent, and we may have between 5 and 10 minutes to clean a train. So we're going to have to maximize the amount of personnel that's on those platforms so that they can get into all of the cars simultaneously and take care of as many different tasks as possible. We're also going to be looking at task sequencing and making sure that we have that right. We don't expect, as Sarah mentioned, we don't expect to have this 100% perfect tonight. But we are fully committed to closely monitoring it and making modifications as we go.
Can I just ask that question about the getting people who take overnight service to their destinations? That when it comes to carrying the 11,000 riders who take overnight service, what are you going to be looking for in terms of evaluating the success or necessary changes?
Sure. So again, for those essential workers who typically use the subway system between the hours of 1 and 5, first of all, we have taken a close look at where we believe those folks are. We've looked at data based on turnstile data over the last several weeks. We think we know where those folks are. We've built bus routes around them. So we think there's a very good chance that a lot of people will be served well by the enhanced bus service, right? But obviously, we're gonna, we didn't build these, we put them out there and then we never changed them again. We've built flexibility into the system, so if we feel like we are missing folks or we need to increase the frequency of service, we're gonna be able to do all of that, right? So we're gonna learn as we go. In terms of those folks where bus service is not an option, we have our Essential Connector program. Again, learn as we go. So we would love to give people the ability to book those trips early to make it really seamless. We are building in that, we've got that process in place and we're building our capabilities now.
Greg?
What does the field operation look like? How will you know if, say, there's an area where there are people waiting or where there might be people tonight? And then how many people kind of signed up for the car ride?
So in terms of the number of folks that we've heard from since we put out the website with the form where you can join the Essential Connector program, I'm sure this won't be an updated number because I haven't gotten a number in a couple of hours, but I think we were at about 1,500 in terms of several hours ago. Now, that doesn't mean 1,500 people are going to need a ride instead of bus service. It means 1,500 people had filled out the form, okay? And in terms of how we're going to be hearing from people, look, we're going to be hearing from people through 511. We're going to be hearing through people through our website, through Twitter. People have always found a way to contact us, and I think we should.
Supervisors and people out?
We've got thousands of people out.
Anybody else? Please.
How soon do you predict that the essential connector service is actually going to be up and running and operational, and how many people do you think will eventually need it when it is operational?
Okay, so it's operational starting tonight. So it's already operational. So starting tonight at 1 o'clock, people will start getting in cars, right? So that's already operational, and it'll go for the period of the pandemic.
People that's tried signing up from it and haven't heard back at all yet, how long should that process take from when they fill out the form to when they hear back?
I'm sorry, you've been hearing from people that...
Like signing up online through the website and haven't heard back. So how long should they expect to wait between when they sign up and when they hear back?
Okay, that's good feedback. I mean, as people have been signing up, they may not be hearing back from us immediately, but they should be getting an email saying, thanks for signing up. Here's what our recommended bus route for you, right? If they are a good candidate for a bus route, they'll also be getting, if they're not, they'll be getting an email saying, thank you for thank you for trying to book a car. Here's your information on that. So if they haven't heard back from it yet, that's good feedback, but they should be, and I think they are getting that now.
Talk a little bit about your plans for the homeless. I mean, what the basis was for the 30 strategic locations, and what you do if people aren't receptive to moving off the trains.
Sure, I can take that, and then Pat Warren may want to jump in as well. So the 30 locations is about end of line terminals. So this effort is unprecedented, but this is not something new that we're just starting for the first time. So about 9 months ago, we started our homeless outreach task force that started going into end of line stations in the overnight hours with MTA police, with social workers, outreach workers. Reaching out to people when a train was taken out of service for cleaning, asking people to leave, and then offering them services and giving them rides to shelters if they took us up on it. So that part is not new. What's new here is an extremely unprecedented effort to be in all of those places at once with a lot of people who can offer help to folks. Look, if folks don't take us up on services, this is something we've been through before. We hope that they will. We want them to. We want to be helpful to people. I think the city has realized that this is an important moment to try to give to try to offer as many social services to folks as they possibly can. I'm hopeful that people will take us up on it. I think that they will. But as the mayor and others have said, this is often... it's often the case that people have to be talked to many, many times before they become comfortable taking up services, and so that may be the case here too. Pat, is there anything you want to add? Okay.
Anybody else?
Just about the essential connector service, do you know now for tonight how many cars have been ordered and are on their way out to pick people up, or in the next 4 hours? How many people are currently getting picked up by a...
I think we will have numbers for you later, but not at this moment, given that it's not 11:30. Anybody else?
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Feel free to come watch some cleaning. Thank you.